Are you with us tonight, brothers and sisters? Well, welcome to Soul Food for Thought, the real roots of liberation. Help make the world a better place for everyone. Join us in song, dance, and laughter. Yes, laughter. And now, as we present our beloved comedian, Brother Leo Flowers.
We really have to think about the food we're putting in our body. That's the new, I feel like the new terrorist attack. A third of America is obese, 2/3 is overweight, and the rest of us trying to catch up. So it's all about taking responsibility, right? Because you hear those people like, obesity runs in my family. And I'm like, I don't think anybody runs in your family.
I started 19 years ago with microbiotics, and I went to becoming a vegetarian, and then I did a PSA for PETA about being a vegan, about being a vegetarian, which I think a vegetarian doesn't have any animal product. And I just think that the whole many worlds started adding stuff to vegetarian, so I'm a true vegetarian, which is a vegan. I don't believe in animal products. And I'll put them in my body.
No, that's really cool. I mean, that's exciting. I started becoming a veganism. I was actually a macrobiotic for a while.
Yeah.
I started before my days on Baywatch. You know, I got schooled on animal rights and what we ingest in our bodies and the the repercussions from that. So I just studied up, did a lot of resources, and I found the way to go. This is the way to be. This is why we're all here. This is why we're here.
Welcome y'all all here.
International Fund for Africa is a tax-exempt non-profit corporation dedicated to preventing, alleviating, and abolishing suffering of both human and non-human animals. This baby you see breathing so heavily after he was born of a very treatable condition. He died because the hospital did not have the machine that would give his lungs time to recover from the insult he had suffered when he aspirated his mother's fluid coming out of her birth canal. And this is one example out of a million. I was there when this baby died, and it will haunt me for the rest of my life. In 2007, an infant unit was opened at a major hospital in Addis Ababa, the capital city of Ethiopia, only the second of its kind in the whole country. The infant unit was started out with 1 room and 2 beds and broken down incubator. In June of 2009, our organization delivered the last of many donations that transformed this little place into a 7-room, 30-bed unit with the first of its kind infant intensive care unit where babies like this boy don't have to die. The inspiration for this event came to me on the 3rd day of my visit in Accra while sitting in my hotel room. I had just come back from visiting the Elmina Castle on the coast of Ghana, where slaves from all over the interiors of West Africa were brought to be shipped to the Americas some 400 years ago. 7 million of them, out of which 60% never made it. My experience at the castle was very powerful and sobering. We walked through the castle with apprehension and a heavy heart. Our guide showed us the rape room where female slaves were brought in after being picked up by the commander from outside his quarters that overlooked a courtyard. We then visited the infamous door of no return from which slaves would exit to go on the ships. We finally went to the dungeons. First the female dungeons. Before we walked through there, our guide warned us of a smell we would encounter which puzzled me. True enough, when we walked in, there was a smell I had never experienced, a smell of death and suffering that made me sick to my stomach. For reasons I cannot explain, I started thinking of all the animals and factory farms here in the United States and in Europe. I feel very sad that in the 21st century, we're doing the same things to animals we did to human beings a few centuries ago. I realize that there are thousands of Elmina castles dispersed all over the continents, and we all act as if we are not committing the same moral offenses that are committed to them. The same ideas, the same principles that led the British, the Dutch, the Portuguese to treat Africans as slaves, namely that they were inferior to them, are the same principles employed by humanity now against animals.
You I'm honored to be here today to share in your experiences and expertise so that our movement can continue to grow. We are here today because we share a common goal: to make the world a more just and compassionate place for all fellow beings. Like you, I'm devoted to this goal, determined to do all in my power as a role model for young people, a living example that strength and fitness are not incompatible with the compassion and caring of the vegan lifestyle. Once again, I'm honored to be here, and thank you.
When you look at what traditional West African diets consist of, they're very different from the things that we have been taught to eat. They are traditionally plant-based diets that include no dairy, very little meat, small amounts of fish. You know, in this country we have this phenomenon that we've all come to know as soul food, and that typically consists of things like, you know, chitlins and oxtails and pig's feet and pig ears and so on and so forth. Well, you know, I'm here to tell you that that stuff is not soul food, that stuff is plantation food. Because, as you know, African Americans were dragged over here in the holds of slave ships, enslaved on southern plantations, and then forced to eat the garbage of those plantations. Now, granted, and I give them props because they did the best they could to turn what was garbage into something that was edible, but the fact of the matter is that it's still garbage. And unfortunately, when we were free from the plantation, instead of leaving that garbage on the plantation, we turned around, claimed it, and brought it with us and called it soul food. It is not soul food, it is plantation food, and it's killing us. The last vestiges of slavery are found on our plates every single day. Now, some of you out there might be thinking, oh, you know, Dr. Mills, that ain't me. I don't eat like that because I've gone from the slave quarters to the big house. I left the chitlins and the oxtails, and now I'm dining on steak and so on and so forth. Well, that stuff is just as unhealthy for you because it's just as unnatural for you. One of the reasons that we as people of color have such a hard time breaking out of these cycles of poverty is because we start breaking down so soon. I work in one of the hospitals I work at in Washington, D.C. is an inner city hospital, and I'm telling you, I see people coming into my hospital every single day, dying in their 40s and 50s and even their 30s with diseases that they shouldn't be dealing with until they're at least 80 years old, but it's because they've been putting things in their body that has torn their body down, and now they're falling apart. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, this is not a race to the grave. The goal is to live as long and as healthfully as you possibly can. Well, the only way to do that is by giving your body the foods and nutrients that will help preserve health and build it up as opposed to tearing it down.
And we got some special guests in the house. We got Mr. Dwayne Wiggins from 2020 in the house. Yes. Dwayne's son. Y'all know the miracles and I'm smoking, you finna get down, right? They said, well, we need another song. I said, I know you wanna leave me, but got the feeling to let you go. And if I have to beg, when you're sympathy, I